What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the We Run on Coffee podcast. I'm Arika.
And I'm Angelo.
And today is a very special episode. As you can hear, we have a guest. Welcome to the podcast, Angelo. I'm so excited. We have so much to talk about today.
Yes.
Thanks to another special guest that we'll shout out soon. But first of all, I should tell you guys that Angelo's my boyfriend if you don't know. So maybe this is your first time listening to the podcast. That would be cool if it were. Usually I do this podcast with my co-host Marissa, my bestie girl. Her husband and Angelo are cousins. So that's kind of the relation. It's like a big square of like how we all know each other and how we all talk and get along. But I'm excited because today Angelo's on, and if you missed it last week, Kyle was on the podcast. Sadly, Angelo did not get to listen to that before we're recording this, so you haven't heard it yet. But I'm excited for you to listen to it because Kyle and Angelo are honestly pretty similar. I feel like so many of his answers will be the same as yours.
We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. So I'm really excited. Let's just dive in, I suppose. If you're listening to this and you follow us on Instagram, send us a DM. Let us know, are you liking the guest episodes? Because this is our third one in a row. And normally we wouldn't do that. But Marissa and I we've been so busy, which you guys will hear about more next week when we catch up with each other. But we had to really space out the schedule because we're so busy. So we decided to do a couple guest episodes on our own, and that's why we're here with 3 in a row. But hopefully you guys like it. Let us know if you do, and let's get started, okay? Are you ready?
Yes.
First question always is, what are you drinking? You want to tell us?
Sure. So we have 2 different coffees lined up. They're both brewed as hot black coffees, and they are from Hawaii. My friend John sent us a little care package that we just opened up today.
Literally, and not even an hour ago.
Yeah.
Probably like a few minutes ago, like a half hour.
It's pretty funny. We didn't necessarily have drinks planned until we opened up the package and saw that we had 2 different kinds of coffee from Hawaii.
And John specifically wrote us a note that said, try these on the podcast. And I was shocked that they got here 30 minutes before we were supposed to record because, as you'll see, all of the questions in today's episode are from John. So this episode is really a big shout out to John, and we'll talk about him more soon. But tell us what the coffees are.
So the first one, called, maybe the brand is Aloha Aina, where A-I-N-A. And the flavor of it is vanilla macadamia, medium dark roast. Yeah, I think the brand's Aloha Aina.
I'm trying to see. Oh, it means love of the land. It is a central idea of native Hawaiian thought, cosmology, and culture is what that means. Mm-hmm. I don't know how to pronounce it, though, still. Yeah. So maybe John will let us know.
Feel free to correct us.
Yeah, feel free. And we have another one.
You go ahead with that.
Okay, so this one is called Hawaiian Paradise Coffee. So I think that's the brand of that one. And this is also vanilla macadamia nut. Now, when Angelo and I opened this, we also got a special treat that we're going to try live, which is chocolate-covered macadamia nuts. So after we saw the 2 coffees and the chocolates that are all with macadamia nut, we were like, why is it all macadamia nut? Is that a big Hawaiian export or what? We did not know. And so I Googled it, and it turns out that macadamia nuts are grown in tropical regions. So it said it was originally Australia, I think it said. And then they're found other places like Hawaii and other tropical locations. So that was really interesting and cool. I wouldn't have known that because we've never been there.
Yeah.
Never been to Hawaii yet. So anyway, we're going to try both the coffees for you guys and the chocolates. I'm so excited. The chocolates are called Hawaiian Host. I think that's the brand. Founders Collection. Mm-hmm. I don't know. You go ahead. You try one of the coffees and you can let us know. Okay. We're both going to try both brands and flavors and let you guys know if they're different, the same, whatever, because I'm really intrigued. The thing is, I made these black, though, just regular black coffee like Angelo said, and I don't drink black coffee. So I'm going to say Angelo's going to be our connoisseur, really, because he's a black coffee every morning kind of guy. Mm-hmm. And I feel like he's going to have a good gauge on what they taste like. He's smelling them right now, and I'm trying not to laugh at you, but what are you doing?
I'm seeing all the tasting notes possible, so before you even taste it, you try to give it a smell. And Arika just went for the sip.
I went for the sip. Okay, okay.
So the Aloha cup has got a stronger flavor scent to it of the flavoring, not just the coffee, but the vanilla macadamia flavor of it. It smells stronger in that regard the Hawaiian Paradise smells more like coffee with a more subtle scent to it of the vanilla macadamia nut.
Like the coffee is stronger than the flavor. Okay.
So my guess is that this is going to have more of a artificial taste to it. The Aloha compared to the Hawaiian Paradise, which I'm excited to try. Because I think a lot of the artificially flavored stuff can be a little overpowering where it's not necessarily complementing the coffee. But we'll see.
Try the Hawaiian Paradise first. Okay. We both are going to talk about that one first since I already tried it.
That's good.
I want to disclaim, though, that these are both coffees that recommend you do 2 tablespoons of the coffee grounds with 6 ounces of water. And I didn't. I did 1 tablespoon. That was a tablespoon, right? That scoop. I did 1 tablespoon.
Roughly.
So basically half the amount of coffee with the water because it seemed like a lot. It seemed like it was going to be super strong. Yeah. So we did just half. But yeah, tell us what you think of Hawaiian Paradise.
Hawaiian Paradise is good. Might need to adjust the ratio a little bit, maybe.
I can't believe this.
1.5 tablespoons for 6 ounces of water. But yeah, it was good. I feel like I could drink it like I could put it in my lineup.
I don't know if you noticed, but I just drank both and I didn't make a face. I don't know if you saw that, but I always make the coffee face after I drink a black coffee because it's not my favorite. It's usually like that sharp, you know what I'm saying? Like that sharp, like flavor that I'm like, ugh, it's like hard to swallow it.
The quick bitterness.
I could drink both of these. I like it. Angela's going in for a second sip so we can give you guys like a nice comprehensive comparison, I feel like.
They're pretty similar. If you were to get one because you could only have access to one, you know, they're pretty similar. They are.
They're almost the same. I feel like the Hawaiian Paradise one, the one that you said smelled more coffee-y, I feel like that one just tastes a little more watered down for some reason, even though I did the same of both. But overall, I like this vanilla macadamia nut flavor. I love vanilla coffees. If you're a avid listener of the pod, you know iced vanilla latte. That's what I get at every coffee shop. So the macadamia twist is a yes for me because I already love macadamia nuts. White chocolate macadamia nut cookie, favorite cookie ever.
Yeah, from Subway.
Oh my god, the Subway ones. Except that they smell like Subway. Like if it didn't smell like Subway, it would be good. But like now I can't eat one of those without just smelling it.
Yeah.
And we're anti-Subway over here.
Subway cookies that smell like cold cuts.
Ugh.
I think that if you were to open up a bag of hazelnut flavored coffee, it smells the same, tastes pretty much the same. Not exactly, but quite similar.
Okay, we have to try a macadamia nut chocolate. Do you want to share one or do you want to eat your own?
My own. Let's cheers.
Yeah, we're going to eat our own each. Okay, I'm putting in a disclaimer right now because I wanted to disclaim this at the beginning, but I'm a little sick right now. I think I'm going to be sick. So if my voice sounds sick, please just know that. I already know. You don't have to tell me. I feel like I can, in my brain, I don't sound that much different. But then when I go back to edit this and listen to it, I'm sure I'm going to be like, ew, it's disgusting. Anyway, what did you think of the macadamia nut chocolates?
I loved it.
Yeah, I loved it too. It's so good. The
chocolate is so good, and the macadamia nut is, it's just good.
I was telling Angelo this, and John doesn't know this, but John sent me chocolates on my period, and that's just like, if you're listening to this and you're a girl, you know, like, it just tastes 10 times better because I'm like, ooh, give me chocolate. And I'm not even a chocolate girly, you guys. Yeah. But like I said, I love macadamia nuts already. I already knew that. So this was a perfect combo. Also, I have to say, drinking the coffee after eating the macadamia nut chocolate was like the perfect combo. That was extra good.
I keep going back and forth between the two coffees to see which one I like the best. More? And I can't pick.
I think I like
I like this one the most.
Yeah, Aloha Aina. I really want to learn how to pronounce it. I feel like I need to Google it because I feel bad just butchering it the whole time. But I really like that one. Anyways, let's get into the episode. You guys know what we're drinking now. Oh, also I'm drinking ice water. Angelo doesn't have water. He's not a hydrated king right now.
Quite hydrated today, actually.
He doesn't have a water on the pod, but you know. Anyway, Angelo and I are going to get started with a couple questions that are the same as the questions that Kyle and Marissa asked each other in the last episode. Because I thought if you were someone who listened to both, then you might get like a good idea of like the differences between the boys. I don't know. I just thought that would be really cute. So we're going to do 3 questions from that episode. So the first question that Marissa asked Kyle last week that I thought was cool is what he does for work. So I would love to ask you the same thing. What do you do for work? And give us like a rundown.
Yeah. I fix aircraft. part-time. I just make sure that when something's broken and the aircraft is not capable of flying, that it returns to be able to fly.
So you have a high level lingo. We're talking planes.
Mm-hmm.
For like, just to really dumb it down, I just want to say aircraft, planes. Just to simplify it, because Angelo's like lingo is so, I feel like, official. I feel like a lot of the times when you tell me stories, you talk in like really official terms that I know because I've been here for 7 years.
Yeah.
But the listeners might not know. So continue. You fix planes, aka aircraft. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And specifically what that is just like the autopilot. Mainly, there's lots of other stuff. It's very technical,
and even more specifically, it's electrical. What you're doing, right? Like you're not out on the outside of the plane with like a freaking drill putting a screw in.
Right.
Like
I
you're
could,
doing,
but that's not me.
Right. He's doing electrical work.
Yeah.
And computer systems? ?
Yeah.
Okay. I feel like that's pretty well encapsulated. But you said part time, so what are you doing for the rest of your time?
Full time. I go to school for electrical engineering.
There we go. Maybe should have started with that, but that kind of also, I feel like they tie together. They play into each other a lot.
For sure. Well, I picked my career of fixing a certain type of system on the aircraft to test myself on what kind of electrical engineering I would like to do. There was a debate in my own head of if I wanted to go software or hardware, and I
Which is what? Give us an example for people that don't understand what you mean by software versus hardware.
Okay, so for someone to interact and design software, they're just typing a string of characters, just like different letters on a keyboard, and they control a system with just text. That's all they're doing is they're writing text that controls a computer in some way. So,
for example, software on a plane might be the autopilot computer system, like the way it runs.
It would be the software,
right?
That,
So let me put it in terms that I understand too. Let me give a double perspective. So if
software
you're listening
and
you totally get Angelo, then you get that. And if you're listening and you're like, I still don't get what he's saying, maybe you'll get this. The way I think of it is of a software like on a computer that I would use in my life. So like Microsoft Word software, Adobe Photoshop software.
Yeah, like programs
that run on your computer.
They're apps.
Like an app on your phone even.
Something you can
Instagram.
download.
Yeah.
You can download software.
Okay, and then hardware. Give us an example.
Hardware you can't download. It has to be there. It exists in the physical world. So a computer that you can hold in your hands, everything that's you're holding is hardware in some way. And there might be software on that hardware that you downloaded onto it. But hardware is physical stuff.
In my example of a computer, the hardware would be the monitor, the computer itself, the keyboard, your mouse, etc. Just to give people that. So
the touchscreen,
all the components that are like physical, real life components. You can touch them, you can hold them.
Yeah.
But the reason we got into this dive of software versus hardware is because you were saying when you were deciding between focusing on software and hardware for your job. So I want to get you back on the right track.
Yeah.
I just wanted to throw that in for people that were maybe confused.
Sure. So when I was graduating from high school, I thought that software is probably what I wanted to do, but I needed some hands-on experience, and I thought that figuring out how to fix aircraft and the hardware stuff will give me a good thing to like test out if I like the hardware.
Yeah.
And I liked it quite a lot, so I decided to go with the electrical engineering track as opposed to the computer engineering track.
Yeah.
Even though I think that I like the computer engineering stuff more.
That's funny.
But the computer engineering stuff I feel is easier to learn.
Yeah.
So looking at the resources that are available in schools, I think learning the hard stuff where I have professors that I can bounce ideas off of and they can help me through the learning process is easier than having to learn the hard stuff on my own. So I chose to do the hardest thing that wasn't intuitive to me for my major.
I think that makes sense, and it's an interesting point because this is something I tell any of my, I don't know, peers or like younger people that talk to me that are in high school, like my family members, your siblings, my cousins. When I was in high school, I took college classes at like a university, and I was like, oh, I'm really good at English, so I'll just take the English class at college. Since I already know I'm good at English, maybe the college English class will be a good place for me to start because I'm already good at it. And whenever someone else tells me they're going to do college in high school, I always tell them do the harder classes. Like exactly what you're saying, because I breezed by in college English. And then when I got to real college and I lived there and I had to go to like these full-time classes, I was stuck with math and science, everything I'm bad at. And I had no one to help me. In high school, I had high school teachers who were willing to help you work on that college work if you asked them. So I always think like I should have done it the opposite way, where it's like, oh, I'm really kind of bad at math. Maybe I should try like a beginner college math, and I can use more resources like my high school teachers to help me with the college math course, instead of just like being fish out of water in a giant university with no one to help me and failing my stats class.
Yeah.
So that's interesting because, I don't know, that's the same kind of thing you were saying.
Stats was actually a pretty good class for me.
Whatever. I don't even want to talk about that. Okay, anyways, I want to know what your favorite song is at the moment. This was a question that Marissa asked Kyle. I thought it was such a good question because, like, you can't ask someone their favorite song ever. Like, you can, and some people have an answer, but I hate that question.
Yeah.
But I loved that it was just, like, right now. What's your favorite song? And also, I know that Kyle's answer, I already told you what it was, even though you haven't heard the episode, but Kyle's answer are songs that Angelo's listening to like every day. So I was cracking up that he answered songs that you love.
You should have kept that to yourself and waited for me to answer.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. I can start over.
No.
Okay.
My favorite song at the moment is Carnival by Kanye, but there's also a couple more that I had to write down because I just couldn't ignore them.
Yeah.
Another song called Something Real by Post Malone.
Oh my God, you've been listening to that on repeat for like
really, really good.
Specifically this past week.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, true. Marissa's gonna love this.
I know. Then I also had to write down Girls Gone Wild by G-Eazy. And there's a couple other people on some of the other songs
Post
too.
On that? Post Malone?
No.
Oh.
It says like Mike G and Offset, but.
Oh, Offset. Okay.
Yeah.
Just ignores like a giant artist. Okay. You're like just G-Eazy.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
And if you asked this question like a month ago, it would have been Cobra by Megan Thee Stallion.
Oh, so, Meg Thee Stallion had to be on the list. Yeah. Even if it's not at this current moment, there's always like a Meg song in rotation, I feel like, with that.
Yeah. If I could just keep going on songs that like are equally as like stuff I would mention as like stuff I'm enjoying all the same. But I had to stop at 4, I guess. Because you only asked
4
for
songs,
1.
Yeah. I asked for 1, he gave us 4. Like, well, he's feeding us today. Thanks, King.
Mm-hmm.
That's how the Gen Zs talk.
Okay.
Angela's like, ew. Okay, anyways. So the next question that I want to ask that Kyle also answered, this is the last one that I thought I would pull from their episode, but Marissa asked Kyle like his top 5 favorite movies, and he didn't want to. He was hesitant to answer because he was like, how can you pick top 5? Like, that's just rude of you to ask me to pick top 5. But she just mentioned like, if you could only have 5 movies to watch like on repeat for the rest of time, or like she kind of phrased it in different ways, just pick your top 5 like strongest movies that you can think of that you're like, love it, love that movie.
Okay. I'm gonna start off with Jason Bourne series. I think that's 4 movies, and I'm gonna count it as 1 and just say the whole series.
That's fine. I like that. That's like a nice loophole.
I really like the one Bourne Legacy. I can't remember who the main actor in that one was.
I don't even know.
But it's not the main guy anymore.
Yeah.
His name's escaping me. I had it just a moment ago.
I feel bad because Marissa and Kyle were able to have some discourse on the movies, but I'm just like, okay.
Yeah.
I don't even know the movies.
He was in Wind River, and he's Hawkeye in the Marvel series. But anyways.
Okay.
So I have the Bourne series, Django Unchained.
Ooh, that one was so good.
With Jamie Foxx and who's the director of that one? Crazy guy.
The same one as Kill Bill.
Mm-hmm.
Why?
Pulp Fiction.
Yeah, why
director.
is this happening to us?
I don't know.
Come on, I don't want to Google it. Hold on, we have to get
we'll get
there.
It.
Wait.
I just need a second.
This is painful for the listeners. They're like probably yelling like,
I'm getting
hello.
so close.
Come on, I want to get it first. Frick, I don't think I can get it.
I guess we just have to give up.
This is embarrassing. I can't.
I'm gonna be so angry when
you're gonna be so mad. Duh, literally, duh. Why are we like this right now? Quentin Tarantino movies is where we were going.
Yeah.
That's so embarrassing. If you're listening to this, no, you're not.
That was rough.
That was so rough. Anyways, Yeah, Django Unchained. Great movie. Love.
Oppenheimer.
Ooh, a new one made the cut.
Yeah.
Oppenheimer was so good.
Immediately after finishing the movie and thinking like where it stacks up compared to all the other movies, I was like, easily it's in the top 5.
Yeah.
Maybe it's in the top 3.
Yeah.
So it's just a phenomenal movie.
It was just wow. Like, that's what you said when you left. It's just like, wow.
Yeah.
I loved that movie, and I don't even like movies, you guys. It was awesome. Okay, good one.
There's 3. I think I ended up writing down 7 or 8.
Oh my god.
Because I just couldn't pick.
All right.
I was scrolling through the app you showed me, Letterboxd.
Yes.
I had added a bunch of stuff that I've seen in the past.
Yeah.
And same thing was trying to find my favorite song. I was scrolling through what I've been listening to recently.
Yeah.
And there's just too many to not mention.
Do you want to just list them all off?
Yeah.
All of them? Just list them quick.
2001, A Space Odyssey.
Okay.
Oppenheimer. The Dark Knight, the second of the Dark Knight series.
Okay.
Ready Player One.
Classic. Not actually, but I love Ready Player One.
I have it written down. Jason Bourne series, already mentioned that. Can't forget the John Wick series.
You love John Wick, yeah.
Very, very good. Django Unchained. I wrote down The Martian.
Yeah,
and then
I
was
thinking of that.
Ford vs. Ferrari, and that's when I realized that I really like Matt Damon.
Oh, really? That's an interesting discovery.
Matt Damon is in 1, 2, 3, 4 of the stuff I've mentioned.
Top ones. That's funny because he's not. I mean, it's hard to say this because he does have a lot of fans, but also I feel like he's one that's popular to hate. It's like people hate on Matt Damon, so that's really funny.
Yeah.
You missed a couple big ones that I thought you were going to put. Now, I don't think you knew Kyle's answers for these, right? Because I didn't tell you.
I haven't listened to it.
So one of Kyle's answers, I just want to tell you because I think you missed it. I think you would have put it, is Interstellar.
I haven't seen that movie, actually.
What?
Yep.
Whoa, hold on.
It's been on my list for a long time.
You just know the soundtrack, but not the movie?
Yeah, it's not on a streaming platform. You have to like buy or rent it, so I haven't watched it yet.
Okay, shocking. Second one you missed, for sure, Baby Driver.
Yeah.
Your favorite movie ever?
I don't think that's top 5.
Wow.
It's top 10, though.
Yeah, you like Baby Driver.
I do.
Okay, we can move on. That's a lot of movie talk, especially for me.
There's a common science theme, too.
Yeah, you can tell. You guys, I think if you guys go back and listen to Kyle's songs and movies and then come and listen to Angelo's songs and movies, you can get a good idea for their taste of stuff.
Science,
with
action,
just those,
guns.
Yeah. Action, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's get into the actual meat of the episode, even though we're kind of already here. The next questions are all from John. So first of all, you said, remember how I gave, okay, hold on. I'm getting carried away. Angela and I, this is not our first episode together. So if you didn't hear our first one, definitely go check it out. I haven't listened to it in so long. I don't even remember what we talked about. If I'm being so honest with you, like I don't even know how we met, I think.
Yeah, that was the first little section.
But I don't remember the rest.
We talked about buying a house.
Oh, yeah. That was actually really good. Because, we had people ask questions and we answered them. Okay. Well, if you haven't listened to that, go ahead and go back if you want to find it. I wish I knew what it was called. I'm being such a bad host right now because I can't remember it. But we did an episode together before, and Angela gave a shout out to his friend, John. And he said that on today's episode, that he'd like to give another shout out. So do you want to do that now before we get into it and forget?
Yeah. Shout out to another one of my best friends, Noah.
That's it?
Yep.
Oh, all you want to say is just shout out to Noah.
Yeah, shout out to Noah.
Okay. And Noah, John, can you give a quick, brief synopsis of like how Noah and John met? Because Noah, John, and Angelo, there are other friends too, but these are like Angelo's closest friends, I would say right now.
Yeah.
Or like just the ones that have been really here through it all. Like they're just, you guys are still friends. It's just really cool. Mm-hmm. So will you give us a brief synopsis of how you guys met and just a tiny, tiny backstory so that people listening will know who we're talking about?
I think it's fun to tell these stories too.
It's so fun.
So, my best friend from high school, Paul, and I think I mentioned Paul in the previous episode. But Paul and I were in a ski club for our school, and one day we're just on a ski lift, and this one random kid gets on with us.
Just to fill the extra seat?
Just to fill the extra seat. And me and Paul were talking as we're going up the mountain, and this other kid chimes in, and it turns out that this guy is Noah. And we're just talking. We end up skiing together. Yeah. Basically, the rest is history.
Such a classic, how it just, I don't know. It just kind of speaks to like how Noah's pretty outgoing. Yeah. And in general, and he'll just come up and talk and to have a conversation. And it's just like a classic way of meeting people. Like, not with social media, not with whatever. It's just like, go up and talk to them.
Yeah.
And that's something I struggle with in life. So I just admire it.
Yeah.
Okay.
We all had a common theme of enjoying video games and...
Yeah. And you're already there skiing, so that's something to talk about.
Oh, yeah.
Like, why are you here? And so was he in high school, and was he also a ski club? Like, how was he there?
If we were freshmen, then he was an 8th grader.
Oh, little Noah.
And I do think that was the years. I don't think we were sophomore and he was freshman. I think he was
in 8th
just
grade.
1 year. Anyways, so we end up meeting Noah. We end up becoming pretty good friends. And then Noah has a friend, John, from his school, because Noah had gone to a different school from us. We just all happened to be at ski club on the same mountain at the same day.
That's cool.
Very random. And
was John also there, just not on the lift?
No.
Oh.
John was not a skier. John was just a friend of Noah's from
So how did that happen?
Dublin.
Do you remember the first time you met John?
Not exactly, no.
Dang, that's so crazy. Maybe video games or something like that.
Yeah, something.
That's so cool.
So yeah, I guess Noah just introduced me to John, and we all just became really,
buds.
really good friends.
And then it really stuck through college. So Angelo and Paul went to the same school, and then Noah and John went to the same school. I'm trying to make sure I'm not mixing them all up. Yeah, in high school. And then for college, Paul, we did talk about him in the last episode because we talked about how Paul is the reason that you and I met, which is so funny. And yeah, so anyways, that's a little backstory so that you all can know who we're talking about. We're going to be talking about John a lot today specifically because he helped us out with this episode.
Yeah.
Before we jump into his questions, though, if you want to go listen to our last episode, mine and Angelo's, and learn more about how we met, how to buy a house, talking about travel and post-grad and all that kind of stuff, we posted it in November of 2023, November 22nd. So if you're looking for it, it's called Get to Know Arika and Angelo, Answering Listener Questions, Talking Travel, and Sharing Our Post-Grad Plans. So if you're interested in that, go check it out. And today we're going to dive into a little bit of a different conversation than that. So I think it'll be fun. Let's do it. I'm excited. So like I said, we just told you who John was. John had some really good questions for this episode. I don't know how this came about.
I can tell the story.
Yeah, go ahead.
So we decided that we were going to do another podcast together, or that I needed to fill in and help alleviate some stress there. And we were trying to think like, okay, how did our last one go? What could we have done different? We were just trying to recap.
Yeah.
And it was that we wished we had more questions from viewers or people that just wanted to know certain answers. Yeah, it was just
we just talked about
little direction. So
stuff.
we were trying to think of direction. I thought, I know someone who's really good at provoking thought, and so I just asked John.
Yeah.
I said, hey, we've got this podcast that we're trying to do. If you can think of any questions, I'm sure you'd be really, really good at it. And I think he also had a question in the last one too.
Probably.
So I just poked his brain, and he started rattling off for the next hour, just
literally
like
just sending
little random questions
question.
that he started thinking about. I don't know how many ended up sending to us.
So many.
But quite a few. So we got a list.
I could have never thought of them myself. They're really good questions, like really good questions that I just wouldn't think of. And not only is he someone that provokes thought, but also he's just like, I feel like John's a man of the people. Like,
for sure.
You know how Quinn 92, or maybe you don't know this, but we were all supposed to go to the concert, and it was called the People's Tour because he calls himself the People's Champ. Okay. I feel like that's John.
Yeah.
Like, he's the People's Champ. Like, and so I feel like, you know, what I'm trying to get at is that I feel like
for the people.
He does. He's a man for the people.
Whoever the people are at that time.
And the reason I'm saying this is because I think not only, like you said, is he someone who knows how to provoke thought, but also he's a man of the people. He knows what you guys want. Like, the people listening will probably also be really curious about these questions, but we don't know how to get them out of people. So that was the best person we could go to, is the man of the people. And so now we're here, and our whole rest of the episode are all questions from John. So keep that in mind. Thank you so much, John, for literally building the whole episode, and also for sending us treats that we're enjoying while we're filming this, which is really, really
the
cool.
Chocolates.
I'm
so
obsessed.
Fun.
So the first ones, so he sent, first I have to do the thing that he said. Okay. So he sent us a whole list of questions, and then two things. He sent us a whole list of questions, and the very last message that he sent us, I'm not going to read it verbatim, but he wants us to talk about whether or not we might have a cute single friend who might like to date our single friend John. Okay, so we're going to give John a quick hype session. I didn't prep Angelo for this, and I didn't prep myself either, but let's talk about John for a minute for all of the bachelorettes out there. If you're a lady listening to this episode and you're single, you're looking for a good man of the people, if you will, that you want to talk to, maybe date, maybe hit up, I'll put you in contact, just reach out to me. But let's talk about John. John is blonde, right?
Yeah.
I don't know how tall. How tall do you think John is? Should I ask him? Or do you think he'll lie?
5'8".
I know.
I'm guessing here. I don't remember.
I'm really putting Angelo on the spot, but I'm going to get John's actual height from him. Hopefully he's telling the truth and not putting like a Tinder height where you lie. But while I'm doing that, give us a little bit of a rundown on John's personality. Just real quick, high level.
So even before you asked this question, I feel like I already talked about who John is as a person, introducing this, like how we got these ideas.
Yeah.
So just saying, like, I feel like I've already said enough.
He's just like he's a good guy. He just really he can just talk so well. Do you know what I'm saying?
Fun.
Like I'm not saying he's like a smooth talker or all talk, but like he has really good, real human conversation and connection, which I think is hard to find sometimes.
John really, really cares.
Yeah. About just people. And
whatever he's trying to do at a certain time, he really cares about doing that.
Okay, he texted me back so fast. He's 5'10", he says.
Oh.
Do you believe him?
Yeah.
I do too. I think he's 5'10". I'm going to let him know that we're shouting out his height on the podcast.
It's been maybe 2 years since I've seen John at the... Maybe even 3 years.
That's the problem. So we haven't seen our friend John because he does not live in Ohio anymore. So we haven't seen him in so long that it's hard to say. But I believe that he's 5'10".
Yeah, the coffee came all the way from Hawaii. That's how far away he is.
I know. And he's been there for so long. But the cool news is John's coming home this summer and we're really, really excited. So anyways, we've been talking enough. Let's actually do the questions that he sent. Now I gave him a shout out. So if you're single and you're looking for like a 5'10" bachelor, blonde hair, and yeah, if you want more information on John, just DM the We Run Coffee Instagram and I'll vet them. I'll make sure that these are some real quality ladies for our man of the people.
I think he can vet them, but
yeah, okay. He can vet him. I'll just send him his way. We'll ask him if he wants us to tag him or not. But pretty cool. So let's get into the questions. He sent some shorter questions and some longer ones. Oh, and this is the last thing I wanted to shout out that he texted, which was really nice. Verbatim, he said, did I write it down? I say verbatim, but like I didn't actually write it down. So how verbatim can it be? He wrote, "You are an awesome couple. Share your secrets." Mm-hmm. And I thought that was so nice. So thank you, John. And that's what I think he said in a way of wrapping up his questions. Like he asked all the questions and then he said, "You guys are an amazing couple. Share your secrets." As in, these are the things that we want to know about your relationship. And I thought that was really cool. Mm-hmm. So the first one is, what is your favorite trip together? I love this question. Go ahead.
First one I wrote down was Sedona.
Yeah.
But overall, it was an Arizona trip because we visited... we landed in Phoenix, stayed in Phoenix for a few days. We went to Flagstaff. Yeah. Then we went to the Grand Canyon. We stayed in Flagstaff for a night. Then we drove through Sedona. That we stayed in for maybe 4 hours, ish, maybe 2 hours.
I can't believe it was only that long because it's the most like stuck in my memory trip of all time.
Mm-hmm. And then we went back in Phoenix.
Sun City. Yeah, it was awesome.
Hung out there for a bit.
That's the first one I wrote down too. It's easily like... I knew for a fact Angelo would write that first, and he probably knew I would too. It's always our favorite. We talk about it all the time. Sedona is magic.
Yeah.
That's it.
That was definitely a trip that's going to be in the top list for a very long time. Mm-hmm. But I think that there's other trips that have their own uniqueness.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
That, for what they were, are top-tier trips on their own. Where I wrote down like our trip to Asheville, North Carolina.
Yeah.
You
loved that trip.
I needed it. It was the perfect trip at the perfect time that we were able to have together. Yeah. Because that was the first trip we'd have alone
in so long.
In a really long time.
Like
usually we travel with lots of people or 1 or 2 people. This one we went just you and me.
Yeah,
and that is why it was really special to me.
We always love having people with us and like sharing. I think we love traveling so much and experiencing the world that we just want to share it with as many people as we can possibly convince to like do it too. So when people say like, "Oh, I want to do a trip," we're like, "Okay, let's plan it. Let's do it. We'll take you. We'll show you. We'll do everything," because we know how amazing it is to us to travel, that we just want to share it with everyone. But with that comes us always traveling with someone else. So to travel on our own and like, I didn't make an itinerary. Like we both just pulled some ideas. Like we didn't have an itinerary really. We just went around and did stuff whenever we wanted, however we wanted. It was really cool.
And we discovered what a cidery was.
Yes, and we learned about cideries. My second one that I wrote was New York City the first time. Because Angelo, before we went to New York City, and you can chime in too if I'm like misrepresenting, but I feel like before we went to New York City, Angelo was like not super sold on the idea of New York City. Like, oh, maybe it's going to be crowded, or what were you thinking before we went?
I think there's so many negatives compared to what I perceived that the positives were, that it didn't seem worth it. It was way outweighed. I was just like, I get that there's cool stuff in New York City. There's cool history. There's cool monuments that really do mean a lot, and that are really important. But I think that the current state, or the state that the city was in at the time that I was considering like the pros and cons, I was like, there's just too many cons, and I'm not interested. And
I was already a New York City lover. I'd already been one or maybe two times, probably. I don't know how many times. I don't even know how many I've been at this point, because I feel like I've been there a lot, and I love the city. I just love the vibe. But I was like, please let me take you, please. And so I finally convinced Angelo to go. We went, and we loved it. Like, we had the best time. We saw the National Museum of American History. I can never say the title correctly.
American Museum of Natural
History. I don't know.
I think.
But anyways, we went and we saw that. We saw Times Square, which was like not Angelo's favorite, and that was probably one of the big things that like I think that most people misconception of New York City is that it's all like Times Square. Times Square is so small. Like so small, and you don't even have to go to you can go to New York City and not go to Times Square once and still have the most incredible trip ever. Honestly, it's probably preferred that way for a lot of people. It's why locals don't go there. But I was just really excited that you like gave me at least as much of an open mind as you could, and then you ended up loving it, and that just made me happy, because we just both ended up having the best time in New York City. So that was a favorite trip of mine too.
I think the reason why the New York City trip, the first one we went on, was such a big success, especially for me and my perception of New York City, was the time that we went. We went post-COVID.
Yeah.
And after New York City had a lot of people move out. There's a lot of people city. Not being out.
It was actually really weird.
So calm.
Yeah.
That I think that really helped me be able to enjoy it. All the cons that I was worried about kind of weren't there, and I think it's because of the time that we went.
I think that, and the fact that I already had known where I wanted to take you.
True.
Because I think if we just went and we had both never been there before, and we were just like blindly wandering around the city, it would have not been as good of an experience, just because it would have been more chaos.
Yeah.
So even though we went to some things I'd never been to before, I understood the layout of what the city looks like, all the different districts and the little areas and Tribeca and whatever, all these different places in the city, and I was able to like plan in a way like, oh, this day we're going to go to Fidei only, or this day we're going to go only to Central Park. And I think that helped too, because it was very like cohesive, I guess. So I think that helped make it like a smooth experience. Did you have any more favorite trips?
Yeah. I also wrote down Thompsonville, Michigan. That was cool. A dream winter trip.
That was awesome.
It's not the best skiing I've ever had in my life.
Right.
But I was able to share skiing with you.
Yeah.
And I think that the cabin location,
it was amazing.
The first time was so cool. It was just a vibe.
It was a vibe. They had the
drove into the trees. The
prettiest
trees are surrounding
snow.
You.
We had I remember this. We have this one photo together that I always think about, where I'm kissing you on the cheek and my hair just has the prettiest snowflakes in it. Yeah. But on this first trip too, we all got to go to the spa.
Ooh.
Big shout out to Angela's mom. She gifted everybody a spa treatment for Christmas,
taking us there.
Like the whole trip was a
Thanks,
gift.
Mom.
Yeah, thanks, Mom. Thanks, Julie. But the spa experience also really made it that dream winter trip feel. It almost felt like we were in a Hallmark Christmas movie.
Yeah.
Because it was just so surreal. It was amazing.
That is how it felt.
Yeah. My last favorite trip, I only wrote 3 because I didn't want to get into this for like too long. We've already been talking for 42 minutes. We have to hurry up. Oh my God. Okay.
We can make it a part 1, part 2.
Oh my gosh. We don't have room in the schedule for that. I know. My other one is Orange Beach. Just because it was with my family, we don't get to travel with my family as much. It was summer vibes. The water was beautiful. I went parasailing for the first time. We did so much, and it was a lot of fun. So Orange Beach.
I was also gonna put Orange Beach, but I decided like I can't list like 8 of our trips when we've gone on 12. We have really good trips, but I also wanted to mention Sugar Creek, Ohio, where the treehouse was.
Yes.
That was a lot of fun.
And the podcast listeners know, because I talked about that back in December when it happened. So shout out to that. But we went to the Dwell Box.
And then our recent trip, but You said you wanted to mention that somewhere else.
I'm not like, Boston.
Going to Boston, that was fun.
Boston, you just said it like you're from Boston.
I know.
Oh my gosh.
You can't say Boston without saying
You can no longer pronounce it Boston. It's Boston. Boston. Anyways, we just got back from Boston. It's not a secret, but I'll definitely talk about it more next week with Marissa because we don't have time.
Okay.
We've already been talking for so long. We'll just make this a long episode,
Speed
I guess.
round. What's your least favorite trip?
Okay, what my least favorite trip was... Wait, should we see if we have the same one?
I think they are the same.
Okay. 3, 2, 1. West Virginia.
It was our first trip together alone.
Right.
It was,
And our only.
Very
until
budget. We didn't
very budget. True.
We spent the least amount of money trying to get out of Ohio for a very short amount of time.
Yeah.
It was good for what it was.
Yeah.
But it's not Sedona.
A cheap, crappy Airbnb.
Yeah.
A shitty city. Like, we did not enjoy it at all. We should have done more hiking. We didn't know.
We didn't know we liked hiking at that point, I don't think.
Yeah,
I think we really discovered hiking right before Nashville.
Yeah.
With Cheyenne.
I feel like we would walk and like go on little trails, but we weren't super into hiking at that time. But yeah, that was my least favorite trip, and we don't need to get into it that much, but it's just like, I think that's just the most boring place we've been / most boring trip. I don't want to hate on West Virginia because it's supposed to be beautiful in other times, but
we did go to
that's the only time we went.
This one antique shop.
Yeah.
I don't think we bought anything.
We went to a garage sale in a church.
Yeah.
Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. I guess so.
It was just, it was what it was.
It's all right.
Okay. Finishing out the quick questions, we have 2 more. Pet peeve about the other person.
Misophonia.
Oh, all the pet peeves I wrote about you are my misophonia pet peeves.
Yeah.
Okay, Angelo's pet peeve is that I have misophonia. My pet peeves about Angelo is when he chews and it makes noise, but that's just my pet peeve about anybody. When you do that snot thing in the shower every day.
Blow my nose?
Yes, it's disgusting that you do it in there. And he like does it men do this. I've heard this is a dad thing. Like when you hear your dad go like in the shower. I don't know.
Trombone nose.
Wet lips mouth noise. I wrote. You were doing it earlier. It's just like when you go to talk, but the lips are. You just have a wet mouth. Angela like kind of has a wet mouth, I think. And then when you glug your water.
Glug my water.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
You mean drink water?
No, when you glug it, you know what I mean, and it's in your throat. It's like, Okay, so your pet peeves just that I have these pet peeves.
Yes. Well, it's to the max though. Everyone, in order to live, there's a minimum amount of noise that you make. You cannot be completely silent to like live. Your heart makes a little bit of noise, but then also everyone has to consume food. You have to eat.
Okay, but I eat
you
quiet.
You can make the littlest amount of noise, and Arika will look at you like you're the devil.
I will punch
That's
something.
how bad it is.
No, it's really, really...
That is my pet peeve.
I guess it's...
Thanks for listening to my
I don't want
TED
to call
Talk.
it severe because that sounds like a serious word, but kind of severe. Like, it makes me mad. Like, it makes my body hot. It makes me want to punch the couch. Like, it makes me angry. And, I talk about it with my therapist, so... She said I can't get that angry about it. And I'm like, okay, but what do you want me to do? I do get that angry.
Yeah.
So, moving on. Last of the little short questions. This one is, what is your favorite picture of the other person or the oldest picture you have together, and give its origin story? I love this question.
Okay. At first, I had in my head something more recent, and it was from our North Carolina trip.
Yeah.
That made it onto the Christmas card. I think that's a really cool picture.
Yeah, we can put that on the Instagram.
That's kind of like recent when I thought about, okay, what's a picture just of Arika that I liked, because that's kind of how I was reading it. It was some of your grad photos. I think that you looked like a badass in your grad photos. I was so proud of you. I think the champagne, in the way that the photographer captured the champagne falling in front of you in the shot was really, really cool.
That's awesome. Thank you. That's so cute. I love that photo as well. I have it framed above my desk with my diploma, and it was a very proud moment.
Your outfit was fire.
Thank you. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I want to get Angela the same photographer that I had because I just think she's incredible. And the grad pictures are like forever memories. And I had to document my horrible hair that I had at that point in my life, which is wild. But with the North Carolina photo, the picture that's on our Christmas card, give everyone its origin story really briefly, because that was part of the question too.
Origin story of the picture?
Yeah. How did we get to taking the picture?
Finished a climb on a hike that was in North Carolina.
Chimney Rock.
We ended up finding a parking spot. Was it Chimney Rock? Yeah. I guess it was.
Also,
I keep getting Cathedral Rock and Chimney Rock mixed up.
Was the Christmas card photo in front of the waterfall, or was it the leaves one?
It was in front of the waterfall.
Okay.
But the first thing I thought of was the ones with the leaves, where we were in the parking lot taking a picture with our hike as the background as we were getting ready to go to the winery for lunch. It's a good
picture.
We got a lot of good pictures.
We did. I'll post them on the Instagram if you're listening. It'll be like on our post with the swipe through.
Yeah.
But these are my two. I think I'm going to surprise you with what I have here. And I actually pulled up the photos so that I can show you.
Okay.
So when I was thinking about our oldest photo, I literally tried to pull out my hard drive and look at our oldest photo because it's so old. I didn't even find our first photo together, but I decided to go for our first Instagram post as More Than Friends. That's what
Okay.
Yeah, it's not cute.
No.
Don't look yet. Let me like pull it up. But do you have any guesses of like what it was?
I mean, yeah, I see the picture in my head.
I think you're going to be surprised because this is not what I thought our first picture together was. We had a few with our friends.
Is it up?
Because we were friends first. So we had like some pictures going out to dinner for my birthday, stuff like that as group photos.
Yeah.
But go ahead and look. This was our first official picture together. I was not expecting it.
I forgot about that.
And the caption's what really gets me. I said Instagram is so different today than it once was, because now it's like you announce things, I feel like. It's like, surprise, we've been keeping a secret, like we're having a baby or whatever. I posted this picture as our first picture as boyfriend and girlfriend. And the caption was, hot cocoa, hot date. I'm not even making this up. That's what it said.
That's a funny picture.
It is. Honestly, it's a hilarious. Like, the picture's kind of dumb, but the caption was fire. Like, who was I? And then I picked one other one because, like you said, it's kind of like a photo of the other person that you love. So I'll show you the photo that I picked first.
Hot cocoa, hot date. She's just being a narcissist.
LOL. Talking about myself. I am a hot date. So then I picked my favorite picture of you, which is this. And it's just a photo of Angelo in front of like fall trees. And it's really not even supposed to be a picture of Angelo. He was just standing in.
No, you were trying to get the camera settings right.
Yeah, I was just trying to get my camera settings right so he could take a picture of me. But it ended up being like, it's just the cutest picture ever. Like, it just looks so cute and you look so happy. Yeah, fresh haircut.
It's a good pic.
Like, fresh smile. Your eyes look so pretty. Like, it's just such a good picture. I love your outfit. That's like one of my favorite outfits. So really? Yeah, I just loved it. And so that's the one I picked of my favorite of Angelo. And the origin story behind that is he's just, standing in for my picture. I didn't say the origin story behind the photo of the hot cocoa hot date. But it's that when Angela and I were like early on in dating, we went to like a Christmas event at Angela's college and we got free hot cocoa. So that was the picture. It's literally just, it doesn't even have our eyes in it, you guys. It's a picture from the nose down of us holding hot cocos. I try to be aesthetic, but I was not.
Yep.
Yeah, that's that. Okay, you ready to get into like the really good questions?
Yeah.
This is just, I wish we could do a part 1 and 2, but there's no room for that in our schedule of podcasting. So we're just going to go for it. And it's going to be a long episode. So buckle up, you guys. First question that John had that was like more of a deeper question is talk about the awkward stages of early relationships or like building solid foundations.
My first thoughts when reading this question was trying to understand how someone navigates awkward stages.
Yeah.
And I kind of took it as like awkward moments.
Yeah.
Awkward stages, that might be like a longer time frame.
Yeah.
But with awkward moments, I think that it's important for people to understand that awkward moments are unavoidable and they're not something to be afraid of.
Yeah.
I think when there's an awkward silence, you can sit in that silence.
Angelo's so good at that.
And just endure it.
Yeah.
And you learn to be bored and to just sit with your own thoughts. I think people need to get more comfortable with it. It's not anything bad. You don't have to fill space. You don't have to fill time.
Yeah.
When something's a little bit awkward, you just get through it.
Something I wrote down were more specific moments that might have been awkward. I don't remember us having a lot of awkward things, but I don't have a good memory a lot of times. I feel like for like little things.
Yeah.
But some things I wrote down that might be awkward is like any firsts. So it's like the first time you hold hands, the first time you kiss, like those moments I think are a lot of what make people feel awkward because it's just like it's something you've never done before with a person that you don't know
You're not familiar
fully
with.
Yeah. So that I wrote discussing relational insecurities. I could barely read my own handwriting, but like having those conversations early on about what would make us insecure in our relationship or whatever, or like what your boundaries are. So it's like, oh, in my past relationship, my ex used to tell me that I was dumb or whatever. Like, this is just an example. It's not like a real thing, but like, say you have to disclose, like, in my past relationship, my ex used to tell me that I was really dumb, and it made me feel really dumb, and I don't believe that I am, but that's something I struggle with, or whatever. Having the conversations about relational, is that the word? Insecurities?
No.
Like, insecurities in a relationship with your partner early on. I think that's a moment that might feel awkward or even just scary. It's not as much awkward as scary, but I think that that's both. It's awkward and scary, but it also builds a strong foundation because you're getting that stuff out there like from the start. Yeah,
I think that kind of just goes to like, you have to communicate and you kind of have to have the same goal.
Yeah.
If we were to be in a situation, because we've definitely had awkward moments, we've had awkward stages, we've just needed to be, we have to have the same ultimate goal.
Yeah.
And I think that that's something that we've had, is like, we've been really committed. And
yeah.
we really want this to work out.
Yes.
Our relationship between Arika and I. And because we both know that we are going through an awkward stage with that in mind, it means that, like, okay, we can
it matters less.
We could talk about
yeah.
everything that is a roadblock at the time.
Yeah.
And because we both can get on the same page about it, we can both generate ideas on how to solve whatever problem it is.
It's funny because I wrote, we are both very strong in our values, people individually.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, we're both people who are really, really strong in our values separately from each other. And so that means when we came together and we had goals for our relationship or our life or whatever, that was our priority. So it's like, oh yeah, we might be in an awkward phase right now, but we know that the goal is where we're going. And so we're just going to keep pushing until we keep going towards the goal. Does that make sense?
Yes.
I wrote that too. And then I wrote, for building a strong foundation, just a couple of key things I wrote down was trust from the beginning. So, for example, this is something I just thought of, but I didn't even know Angela's phone password till like a week ago or whatever. I just trusted you. And like, that's something that does not come naturally, I think, for people. Like, it's hard to just trust someone you just met. But I do think it helps build a solid foundation, is what John asked about, like building a solid foundation. I think it's huge. Like, I think that was a big thing, is just I had to trust you and you had to trust me. We were in college. You were going to like training for the military. Like, we were separate a lot. So we had to have so much trust and communication, like you just said.
Yeah.
To build the foundation that we have. And honesty. I wrote honesty even when it hurts. There is never like a point really where I ask Angelo a question and he would lie to me. Or vice versa. Like, even if it's just your opinion, how does this shirt look with these shoes? It's like, oh, maybe it would look really good with those shoes. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're always honest. We never want to just like lie to each other's face like that.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I do. Yeah, I think that dips into like getting through awkward stages where there's going to be, I lost my train of thought, but.
Okay. That's okay. If you think of it, say. But one other thing that I think would be good advice for someone else, like starting a relationship and to build a strong foundation, is something we only started doing recently, but we have our monthly dates, which I talk about in the podcast all the time. But at our dates, and I said this in our last episode, I think, we do rose, bud, and thorn. And I feel like it's a good advice for like new relationships, or if you just want to be stronger in your relationship. We have one date night a month where we very intentionally check in with each other and ask each other our rose, bud, and thorn. So we say our thorn, which is like something that's not really going right. Our bud, which is something that we're like excited for it to bloom and see how it goes. It's like good opportunity. And our rose, which is something that's going really well. And I feel like those, having the rose, bud, and thorn and talking about them every month and having updates and like just checking in really strengthens the foundation, strengthens the relationship.
I'm remembering a little bit about what I wanted to say previously. It's blending together like how someone can build a solid foundation.
Yeah.
And considering how to get through an awkward stage, and what kind of challenges someone goes through internally in their own head is like showing vulnerability.
Yeah.
Because nobody's perfect, and to get through some awkward stages, you might need to be vulnerable and let the other person in on whatever the heck it is that
is in your brain.
Yeah, you're
that's
thinking
so true.
about. You just, saying exactly what's going on in your head, letting that other person in, is very vulnerable.
Yeah.
It can be challenging, I think, for most people. And it can be awkward, but immediately after showing that vulnerability, if both parties reciprocate, you can get past that awkwardness because you both humanize the moment,
the experience,
and you could just get
that's
past it, and that
so
builds
true.
a strong foundation.
Yeah, that's a really good advice too, because that's something that Angela and I still struggle with now. Like we're not perfect at that either. So I feel like it's good to talk about and remember, like, even when John was like, you guys are an awesome couple, tell us your secrets. It's like, we're still not perfect. Like, we still have shit that we don't know how to figure out or whatever. And being honest with each other about what's in our brains. Like, for me, I didn't want to share my mental health struggles with Angelo or anyone because it's, like, scary.
Yeah.
It's scary to tell people that stuff or what you're thinking. But it literally, like, when you share it, it's a weight off of you. And it allows you the opportunity to, like, move forward way stronger. So, I feel like that was really good advice. Thanks, babe.
You too.
Thanks. Okay, so another thing that John wanted us to talk about was just the boot camp phone calls. So brief. If you don't know, Angelo's in the military. We talked about in the last episode his timeline, but there was a point where he was at boot camp, training, whatever you want to call it.
Basic training.
And
my phone was somewhere not with me.
Yeah, when you're there, you don't have your phone. And so he would have designated times where he could make like one phone call, right?
Yeah.
So what do you want to talk about this?
I actually don't really remember.
Okay, I'll start.
It was so long ago.
It's hard, yeah.
I was in a completely different headspace that I wasn't really...
And we were in a completely different stage of life. We were kids. We were teens. We were still in our teens. I'm 25 now, so it is a long time ago. But I just wrote down a few points. He didn't really specify what he wanted us to say about it. I think he was just curious.
Yeah.
But I wrote down that was the first time I heard you cry, I think, which is really, really strange. And Angelo doesn't cry very much ever. I could probably count on one hand the amount of times you've cried in the last 7 years that I know about, obviously. Yeah. But I think that was the first time I heard it. So I remember I remember the first call I got when you were gone, and I was in the shower. And I would bring my phone with me everywhere at college because I would wonder, like, oh, I wonder if he's ever going to call. Like, I just didn't know. And we were also really early in our relationship, too. So it was just like, he's probably going to call his mom and his dad. Like, I didn't know if he was going to call me.
Yeah.
I was just literally just waiting around. So I'd bring my phone everywhere. So I'm about to get in the shower in college. I would always turn my ringer all the way up. I'd set it right outside, whatever. And I turn on the shower. It's so hot and steamy. Love my lava showers. I get in and literally, I think it was almost instantly, my phone starts ringing. I whip open the curtain. I peer out. Says Angelo on my phone. I'm like, oh my God. I turn off the shower. I answer the shower. I'm like, hello. I'm sitting in the shower naked on the phone. And I'm like, hello. And I just hear Angelo's voice sound nothing like I've ever heard you sound. Cracked and like breaking, and just you were crying and you were so emotional and just so like it was like raw.
It'd probably been a month since I'd heard your voice at least.
Yeah.
So I probably had it in my head like what
I sound like or something like that.
I wanted to call you and I had it in my head and then I heard your voice and
it's just
it, I
gone.
got caught off guard.
Yeah. That's wild. So that is honestly, that kind of really wraps up the whole experience. But then I also just wrote, it was heart-wrenching. It was just like, oh my God, it was just a lot. It was a lot of emotions. I don't even know. I can't even encapsulate like what it felt like, but we hadn't talked in so long, and also we were so new, and it was just like, it was a lot. And then I just wrote quick and to the point because if anyone out there is experiencing this or about to, you have to understand that it's not going to be like, oh, we get to talk and I love you more.
Yeah, no,
you hang up first, I hang up first.
It's probably a 60-second conversation at
super
most.
short. It's just like, I love you, send me letters, I'll write to you, bye. Like, very quick.
And lots of different people have different boot camp experiences.
Yeah.
There's some people who say they got 5 phone calls. Some people say they only got 1 phone call.
Yeah.
There's lots of different ways that I think
it goes down.
People experience it.
Yeah.
So.
That was ours. That's cool. We have never talked about that, so I like that. Talk about personality traits in the other person that you notice or different cues that you pick up on about each other. So I don't know how you approach this question. You want to give us your answer?
I wrote down 2 things.
Okay.
Attention to detail.
Oh.
Are personality traits that we both really, really...
have in value.
They define us.
Yeah, that's true.
These are things that we are obsessed with, is attention to some very fine details.
Yeah.
And with that, also, I think this is a little bit informed by your episodes with Marissa about personality type.
Yeah.
And that we both work towards an ideal.
Yeah.
And I think that also informs about like us getting through awkward stages.
Yeah, that's interesting.
And like how we got to know each other was like I've got this idea of what's ideal. How do you think about this one little random topic? And you would have your own idea on what's ideal, and we would chat about it and see that, like, hey, our ideal either relationship or future, you know, what our future would look like, seem to, like, we both understand that we're working towards an ideal, and those ideals look very similar.
That's really interesting. I've never heard anyone say it like that, looking towards an ideal, but I have heard in my personality types being called the idealist, and I did not even think about it like the way you just described it. That makes so much sense.
Word came to my head.
Yeah, I did not even get that. That makes so much sense. I think that's so true. And we do literally do that. We'll be like, oh, what do we want for van life? Ideally, we would have XYZ. These are our things that we really want. And then we just try as our damn hardest to get to that point.
Yeah.
That's so interesting. Okay, I wrote down a few things. For personality traits in the other person that I notice or just that I like, I just wrote a list. Loyal, kind, supportive, dedicated, hardworking. I feel like those are really well encapsulating of your personality. But then also I thought it was interesting that... What?
Go ahead.
Okay. Going. I also thought it was interesting that John asked about cues that we pick up on about each other. So I was really thinking about this. And I thought what's interesting is that I can tell when you're thinking. Like, I know your thinking face. And so I don't know how to describe it for listeners, but I feel like that's a cue that I pick up on that I'm like, oh, if we're in a conversation and Angelo gets really quiet and he furrows his brow, if you will, and we're talking to like his dad or anyone else that isn't us, and he's just like quiet and like almost not distracted, but like looking off, I know what's going on. Like, you're thinking critically. And it's just funny because I know that cue. And then I also wrote the other like cue that I thought of, I guess, is when you look around at a restaurant or like when we're in public or something, I can tell when you're like emergency planning for like when something goes wrong, we're going to leave through that door and we're going to do XYZ. I feel like I can tell when you're doing that. Or I can also tell when Angelo thinks that we're not in a safe situation or like not in the most safe situation. I can tell when he thinks that, and then it makes me aware, I think. Like, it doesn't make me freak out maybe inside my brain, but it actually puts me into like the same mode. Does that make sense? So he asked for the cues. I don't know what the cues are. Like, I don't know how to tell you, but I can tell when I'm looking at you. Oh, right now he's looking for what door we're going to escape through when shit goes down. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So those were my cues.
Can I see that sheet you have written down?
Yeah.
Because
you trying to cheat on mine?
No. For the personality stuff, when you were saying each of these things, I was thinking these also describe you.
Oh, yeah.
But that's not how I read the question, so I wanted to make sure that the podcast got that these are yours too.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
We have really similar personalities, which I think sometimes people are like, opposites attract. Similar personalities never work. Whatever. But I just think that's so not true.
It's complicated.
It's more complicated than
sometimes
that. And we're so
attract.
Similar.
Sometimes opposites clash.
That's true. And we're the people that like, we have so many similarities and so many differences, but the most important things about us or the most important things we believe in are all the same. Mm-hmm. And that's what works for us.
Yeah.
Okay. Next question, because we only have a few more and we got to get this done. So, small things that each of you do to show love and notice your partner. I thought this was really cute. I had a harder time thinking of what I do for you. Like, I feel like you actually might be able to say more of what I do for you than me, but I wrote what I do for you. So a couple things, I just wrote a few, like I didn't write all of them, but I just wrote lots of hugs. Angelo likes hugs, so I always give him a hug. And I wrote movie nights. I feel like that was something I implemented or like had the idea to start doing. And I feel like that kind of shows you love in the way of like quality time together. And it's something you really like. Question mark?
Gotcha.
And cooking for you.
Gotcha.
Those are like different things I thought of that I do to show love to you or whatever.
We both read this question in reverse ways.
Really?
I wrote down stuff that you do for
okay, I'll think of
our
some.
relationship.
Okay. Yeah, we did it oppositely. See, we should have talked about this. But anyways, what did you say?
If I were to say what you do for our relationship or for me or for us, I wrote down that Arika makes sure that we eat well.
Aww.
I wrote down our kitchen is well organized and it enables us to use it so much.
Yeah.
We eat such good food.
Yeah.
And I mean, it tastes delicious and it's very fresh. All the food is very low process.
Yeah, fresh, and it's hearty. It's always like we have enough food.
It's so economical. We eat so well for so little.
Yeah, we do.
It's really not that expensive.
It's the life hack that I need to share because Marissa's also always asking me this. She's like, how do you only grocery shop once a month and you only spend like X amount of money? I'm like,
Erica's awesome.
I don't know how to tell you, but this is what I do.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe I need to dive into that sometime, but that's really cute. And I wrote cook for you on mine so that I was thinking the same way.
Mm-hmm.
I guess if I thought of like, wait, how am I supposed to think of this question if I answer it in the same way? Think of what you do for me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the first thing I thought of when I thought of what Angelo does for me to show me love is fill my water bottle. I always say that and it sounds so silly, but like he'll always make sure my water bottle is full. Going to bed, it's like, is your water full? No. Okay, give it to me. I'll go fill it up. That's just like the number one thing I think of. Write me notes. That's so cute. I like when Angelo writes me notes. Trying to think. Angelo just fixes everything. So I don't know if that's to show us love or not, whatever, or for our relationship, but I just think that's a nice thing. Like anything that I'm having a problem with, you have so many creative ideas on how to fix it, or something wrong in the house, something's not working. Like Angelo can fix pretty much anything. So yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
It is pretty cool.
When I try to think on how to answer the question the way you took it first, I came up with I make sure you always have access to something to drink.
Yep.
And I cross all the T's and I dot all the I's, and I was thinking like of our house.
Yeah.
All the doors, you know, everything gets set up the way it's supposed to.
Yeah. You make sure we're safe. That's like a big thing that Angelo's good at doing. Like I said, when he's emergency planning, like at a restaurant, like he is, but also like just in all facets, what did I just say? In all facets of life, Angelo's always trying to make sure that we're safe and secure as much as we can be in a given situation. I think that's huge.
Yeah.
That's like one of my favorite things because that's important, like to me.
Yeah. Or all the sinks are turned off, or all the stuff.
Yes, everything's unplugged when we go on vacation.
Set up the way that it's supposed to be.
Yeah. Yes. Okay, those are good things.
Nothing's out of order.
The next one is to talk about when. So John was asking, when we have issues in our relationship or like we're going through something, are we keeping it internal or are we gonna share with our friends and like ask their advice? Do you want to start or do you want me to?
Yeah, but I don't think my answer is all that interesting. I think everything that I've experienced has I've gone through it internal.
Yeah.
Very, very little have I shared with someone else, a family member or a friend.
Yeah.
I have, here and there little things, but the vast, vast majority is stuff that I'm working through in my own head.
Yeah.
And I think that maybe there's a better way to do it, but I think for me, I work really, really, really hard to understand who I am, how I view the world, how I process information, and the decisions I make on how I want to react to things are only based on how I've assessed a situation instead of like trusting someone else. I feel like I trust myself more than anyone, so I'll give myself extra time to process everything fully, but everything that I go through, I pretty much go through internally.
Yeah, I wrote something similar, obviously. The first thing I wrote is we don't have a lot of friends.
Yeah.
And not to be in a sad way or whatever. It's just like we don't have a lot of friends, especially that live here. Our closest friends moved away from where we live, so they don't even. Small. The number's so small, and then the people that are here do not live in our town. I don't know if we have like a single friend in this town, which is actually really sad. We have a lot of family, and we love family too, but we don't have a lot of friends that are close to us. So it's like when we do talk to our friends, we're not going to complain about each other. We're going to talk about our recent travel or new food we tried or what they're doing in their new city. So it's not like a priority of us to reach out to our friends for those things. That's not to say that that's bad if people do that. A lot of people need and rely on their friends for that kind of thing. And I think that's great. But it's just not something that we do. Another thing I wrote was when you share. So John didn't ask about family, but that's the first thing I thought of because we're close with our families. And I wrote when what you share with your family can't be taken back. So when you tell your family something about your relationship, oh my gosh, Angelo annoyed me so bad today because he kicked the bottom of my foot while I was walking up the stairs and then I fell or something, whatever, like something silly or something really serious. Once you say that, it's there and your family will know that. Whether or not they think about it every time they see you, you don't know. But like it's always there. So I never want to like go to Angelo's mom or my mom and be like, oh my God, Angelo and I are going through a hard time because he did XYZ or I did XYZ to him, because then it changes how they perceive you.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to change that. I want them perceiving you to be on their own terms and not about my influence, if that makes sense. So that is another thing. But the third point I wrote, and that I think is most important, is that I wrote support is still important. So I think it's always good to share how you're feeling with somebody. So my main support, and when I want to talk about something that has to do with me and Angelo, is to talk about it with my therapist. And that's enough for me, just to be like, oh, this is something we're going through, good or bad, or this is something nice Angelo did for me this week, or this is a way that Angelo's chewing annoyed me this week, or whatever, something dumb. My therapist is like the best place that I can get support for that, because she doesn't know Angelo, but she also knows me. And so she can also assess whether or not, like, okay, you getting mad that he chewed loudly is not Angelo's problem. Like, that is something that you need to work on, whatever. She gives a really professional approach, and I like that. So I feel like support's still important. So whether it's your friends, whether it's your family, whether it's your therapist, or whether it's each other, because mine and Angelo's biggest support in our relationship issues is each other. We will just sit down and be like, this is a problem I have. Let's talk about it. So all that to say, like, I think support is still huge and really, really, really important factor. But for us, it's mostly internal. But it's not all in my own brain. I tell you about stuff.
Yeah, the way you almost took what I was going to say at the end there.
Yeah.
On that, if I were to choose between talking with friends or not,
yeah,
I most of the time do not. But
yeah.
I always talk with you.
Yes.
If there's a problem that I have with our relationship, or that you have with our relationship, or that I have with you,
yeah,
you know about it.
Yes.
And that's like the first thing. And I think that's necessary in all steps.
Yeah.
If you've got a problem, I don't think you should go to your friends or family first. Maybe
yeah.
in certain circumstances you do.
Yeah.
And
it's really
and that's
situational. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but, you know.
And there are things that
trust myself the most with processing information, but I also trust Arika.
Yeah.
So I can bounce ideas off of her.
Mm-hmm.
I don't necessarily have to go to my friends for that.
Yeah.
I trust Arika's judgment because she knows who I'm trying to be as a person.
Yeah. We know each other best of anyone in the world. We know each other the best, right? Like, I know Angelo better than probably anyone else in the whole world knows you, which is really weird to think about, and vice versa. So whatever Angelo has an issue with or is trying to work on isn't going to, for the most part, like, sway what I think of him, because I've already had 7 years of really getting to know him. Mm-hmm. So I feel like whatever you tell me that you're like, I have a problem with this, I'm not going to be like, oh, he's so conniving, because I know you're not.
Yeah.
I've been here for that long. So I think that's key. So the way we resolve issues in our relationship is mostly internal, to answer the question, like, really blanketed. But we also, like, we'll chat too. I'll be like, can I tell my friends this about our relationship? And Angela can say yes or no. And opposite. Like, I think we just have respect for each other first, and then those other things can come second. I don't not talk to my friends or not talk to my therapist, but, like, we have boundaries that we talk about with each other. Our communication is just so open with each other.
Yeah. And I think if I were to take that question and say, like, if someone is trying to know how we do it,
yeah,
to say that because we know each other so well, maybe that doesn't necessarily inform them on how they can look for someone to have that with.
Right.
I think the reason why we're able to have this strong communication and how we trust each other so much is because it goes back to us understanding exactly kind of what we want. Mm-hmm. And that we are on the same page because we're working towards the same thing, and that we are a part of a team, and the ultimate goal is achieving something or getting past something together. Yeah. That is the primary goal, is getting through something together. Mm-hmm. So.
Yeah. Okay, we're really close to the end here. So this one I thought was really, really cute. It says, talk about pushing each other to grow. Okay, so John gave an example, like reminding your partner of their responsibilities or convincing them to try new food, etc. So do you want to start, or would you like me to go?
I think I've touched on this
throughout.
Throughout. But it's important to reiterate that I think a cornerstone of our relationship from the beginning has been that we each individually are committed to constant improvement, that we are obsessed with the idea of being better than yesterday.
Yeah, growth.
And if you keep doing that over and over and over again, you won't be going down in life.
Yeah. I kind of wrote in a way of like, how do you push each other to grow? Or like how, if you're listening to this podcast and you're thinking like, how can I help push my partner to grow without being pushy or without being overbearing? Because that's a hard line to walk with some people or in some situations. So the 2 things I wrote was, first, goes perfectly with what you just said, understand their goals and help them achieve those. So the way that Angelo and I push each other is not me going to Angelo and being like, you need to go to a hip hop class with me because you need to learn dance.
Yeah.
That's not Angelo's goal. He doesn't want to learn dance. Or maybe you do, but it's like not his main goal right now. Angelo's working on school and his profession and working on his car and things like that. So when I'm pushing Angelo to achieve his goals, they have to be his goals. That's the first step. I think people maybe struggle with that a little bit. So it's like, oh, I'm trying to tell my partner that he should do more around the house. Okay. You have to understand like if that's your partner's goal or not, or if that's something you want from them. Those are 2 different things. They can align, but that doesn't mean they always do. So I think that's the first part. And then the second part I wrote is just approach it with love. So it's like, I love Angelo. I want him to achieve his goals and dreams. So when I push him, it's on the things that he wants. You know what I mean? Like, it's on your goals. I'm going to push you. Hey, let's put a time on the calendar this week that you can work on your car, because I know that that's your goal and something you want to do. And same goes for the other way. So even in John's example, he talked about like pushing your partner to try new food. That would happen more with you to me than me to you, because you eat everything, or you'll try anything once or whatever.
Sure.
And I'm more picky, but you know that I want to be an adventurous person. I want to be a person that experiences life. And so you can push me to do that. And it's not offensive to me. It's like showing love.
Yeah. And I think that as a recipient of this encouragement, where you like kind of make it more concrete.
Yeah.
I, Angelo, have a goal. I share it with Arika that I have this goal. Arika will notice a moment where maybe I'm not pursuing the goal.
Yeah.
She can say like, hey, remember, this is a goal you have. It's on me to be humble in that time where maybe I wasn't pursuing it. Arika called me out on it.
Yeah.
Called me out on my bullshit a little bit. And I have to be able to recognize and not be hurt
like
by that, because Arika is looking out for me. And I know that. So sometimes you have to own up to some things, and just, be comfortable with saying, you are correct. I need to be doing a little bit more here or a little bit more there. Yeah. Because ultimately it is my goal. And I want to achieve these things. Yeah, and that's a point too where we can have a conversation about, even, is this still your goal? Do you still want to travel to another country this year, or is something else more important to you? And we have those, like I said, when we have our monthly dates and we talk about our rosebud and thorn, we also talk about our goals, because it's a natural conversation, and that's a good time to find that out. Is just like once a month when we check in with each other. Yeah. But it's so hard to not get offended sometimes when that happens. So you just have to really keep in mind that big goal or that ideal. I think a cool tool we use every year is making those vision boards. Yeah. I think that's an easy way for us to communicate. Yes. It's not even an intentional communication. No, you're so right. But a way that I can, like, we talk about each other's vision boards, because we're, do a little show and tell with what we've created. And we see them every day. We talk about what's on it. Yeah. Why it's there. And how we hope to make that, vision a reality. So we can, be on the same page. Be on the same page. Every year. Very common theme. Yes, it is. Every year we do a vision board. So what Angelo's referencing is our physical vision boards, because there's like a lot of different ways people do these now. But I host a vision board like party at my house with Angelo's siblings and usually his dad, and everybody makes one. And if you're my friend and you're listening to this and you want to come, just let me know. And anyone can come. We literally just cut out an old piece of cardboard from like an Amazon order box, and just glue pictures that we print out from Pinterest on it. And it's for the year. You can do it however you want, but we do it for the year. And so we'll print out pictures, like for instance, on my vision board this year, I printed a picture of a little van because I want to buy a van this year. And I printed a picture of a passport because I wanted to get a passport, which we did. And now we booked international travel already. And it just helps you visualize your goals. And it hangs next to my bed. Angelo's hangs over his desk. And so the way we can help each other or push each other is I can literally just go into the office, look at Angelo's vision board above his desk, and see what he's working on. And then I can say, do you want to do more of this or that? Or do you want to do less of this other thing, And it's a good way to be accountable and check in. Or you can just straight up ask, like, are you working towards your goals?
today? Are you putting forth some effort?
It goes back to an episode me and Marissa just did where we talked about accountability partners. Angelo and I are each other's accountability partner. We're each other's everything. We're just best friends, okay? We don't have any other friends because we're just together, but whatever. But yeah, it's like having an accountability partner built in with your relationship, and that's how we push each other to achieve goals and to grow, which was the question.
Yes.
Okay, last question of the whole thing. I'm so excited. I can't believe we talked for an hour and a half, but I'm hyped for it.
We talk for hours every day.
Yeah, it's so true. The way we never run out of things to talk about is actually insane.
Yeah.
I think about that all the time, and I can't think about it because it's too existential. I'm like, how do we not run out? Like, we talk about so much. Anyway, favorite moments together. I loved this question. Oops, I did not mean to peek at you, but we wrote the first same thing. Of course we did.
Come on.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. I didn't look at anything else, but of course we wrote the same thing.
Climbing Cathedral Rock.
Yes,
in
I
Sedona.
wrote hiking Cathedral Rock. That was, and it wasn't hiking, it was climbing. You're more accurate because we were literally rock climbing it. That is a favorite moment. But I want to say I loved this question because it's not only travel related. And I think we talk so much about our amazing trips and travels that we don't forget about the other stuff, but we don't give it its moment enough. So anyways, yeah. What was yours? Your next one. Just give me your next one.
Well, I want to talk about why Cathedral Rock was such
top moment?
a favorite moment. I think that as a time of starting the climb to finishing the climb, lots of emotions emerged. There was fear. It was very challenging.
There was exhaustion.
It was physically challenging, mentally challenging, and scary. You're climbing up a fairly steep cliff. There's points where you have to have 3 points of contact because you can't stand. You have to have a hand in a crack on a rock.
Yeah.
And nowhere does it say that you're going to be rock climbing, but you end up climbing up a pretty steep rock.
Yeah.
So having to coach Arika through that and showing her like you have what it takes, you just have to believe in yourself. Watching you go through that progression is one of my favorite moments.
Wow. Thank you.
And that at the end of it, you couldn't even believe yourself.
I was
I can't believe I just did this.
The rest of the trip, the rest of the 2 trips we went on, the rest of the month, I was just like, I couldn't believe what I did because that was at a point in life where I was not physically fit. Like I was not there. I was not ready for that hike. I should have never done the hike. If I even knew it was that hard, I never would have done it, but I had it in me.
Yeah.
I just didn't know until I had no option. It was like, well, it's up or down. You still got to go.
You did have it in you because we had been working towards hiking more.
Yeah.
That was like we were in peak hike.
Yeah, but it wasn't. I wasn't where I feel like I should have been.
Oh yeah, I mean, you hadn't gotten to the training for running yet, or doing all the dance that you're doing today. But at that point, you were the most fit that you were in the last couple of years.
And at that point, yeah.
So at that point, I think you're fine.
It's crazy. What's your next one?
Next one was running and training together.
I have that.
Your process of getting to a 5K.
5K training.
Very similar emotions, challenges, physically and mentally. As the climbing Cathedral Rock, there was like lots of moments where you felt bad about a certain run time or performance. You were very discouraged and you needed to combat that mentally in your own head. Yeah. And being able to go through you with that process was a favorite moment for sure.
Thanks. It was like overcoming the crying, overcoming the the anger. I would be mad. I would be so mad. I would be like, I'm not running today. I don't want to fucking run. Like I'm done with this whole thing. But at the end I ran a 5K and I could do it. And those are like top moments. Okay, I'm going to say my next one. My next one was being on a boat in San Diego with John and Spinner.
Oh, dude, that was awesome.
I just thought of that because I remember at that point, like, the whole trip was cool, but, like, that was that's a top moment of us together because it was fun. It was summer. It was warm. It was beautiful outside. And I just remember feeling, like, a peak happiness
Dude,
at that time.
Such a cool experience that
Thanks,
John took us through.
John finessed it too because we were not old enough to rent a boat. Nor did John had a boating license like in Ohio, I think, but I don't know about there. I don't know how. He totally finessed this whole thing for us, but he got us on a boat and we spent like part of the day on a boat in San Diego just riding out, and it was like peak happiness. It was so awesome.
Yeah, it was like we can't believe we are where we are.
Yeah.
Driving around this island.
At the time, that was like one of our biggest trips too. Like
it was. We flew across the country.
Yeah. What is one of your next ones?
Next one I wrote down gardening or growing plants with you.
Yeah.
That's fun.
That's been really fun.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to
That's it.
doing more, you know?
Like, just gardening.
You gotta get more space to grow more stuff.
We want, like, a whole, like a
yeah.
veggie garden and, like, a whole thing, but we don't have a big area to do that.
Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, it's snowing outside.
Yeah.
So.
In March, like, can you not?
Yeah, like the little things that we have done over the time where we grew a pepper plant, got some peppers, cooked with the peppers. Now we have some house plants that are there for looks and stuff like that. It's fun.
One of my top moments that's like top tier was the day we signed the papers and bought the house. Was that like one of yours?
Yeah.
Specifically, I just remember like going with your dad and your dad's girlfriend, getting drinks and like food and just celebrating.
Yeah.
And it just felt
celebrating putting in an offer.
Well, we did celebrate putting in an offer, but also separately, the day we signed, we went with them again, I think. They took us out both times.
Nice.
So shout out. Thanks, you guys. But it was just like another peak happiness moment. It's like, oh my God, we really just did that. How awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wrote down generally just accomplishing the purchase of a property together, going through that whole process. Favorite moment.
Yeah.
Also renovating our house.
Yeah.
Like when I think back to like the picture you have or the video of you have of me where I had gloves on and I was feeling for staples on the ground. I keep that in my head pretty frequently.
I think about that too. I think about the picture of me going like this.
Yeah. Or you just it's dark outside and you're still painting the walls.
Oh my God.
Just like, I'm so tired.
I was crying every night. We were staying up until like 2 a.m, going back to our old apartment half hour away, waking up at 5 a.m, 6 a.m, coming back here 30 more minutes. I'd work. Angelo would work. I'd work my day job. Angelo would work on the house while I'm just sitting there in a camp chair in the middle of a room that has nothing in it. And we just like
a gutted house.
We'd sleep like 4 or 5 hours a night and do it all again. And it was so exhausting, but it's our dream house. Like, it's so beautiful in here.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we have bigger dream houses, I guess, but like, it's everything we could have wanted for this space.
Yeah. For where we're at right now, this is like amazing.
Okay, a top moment I wrote that's really a throwback is sleepovers in your dorm. When Angelo and I were in college, we went to different colleges. I don't know if people probably don't know that because we never really talk about that fact that much, but Angelo was at a different college than me, and he had a dorm, and he had a roommate for like a short amount of time. Nice guy, shout out. But then he also transferred or like left school or transferred somewhere else. I don't know.
Yeah, he went back
like to his hometown
to take a break from college for a while.
So then he didn't have anyone in his room. It was just Angelo's room. So we not only would I stay with Angelo a lot because he would stay at our dorm a lot, but also Angelo would have me and all our friends over there. So like our friend Paul that we talked about earlier, Cheyenne, Noah, like all of our college friends would all go to Angelo's. We'd blow up air mattresses and then sleep on Angelo's bed, his roommate's bed, the air mattresses. I think Cheyenne or Noah slept in a folding chair.
Dude,
I don't know why.
Crazy. I think that did happen at least once.
I don't know why, but we would just have sleepovers all the time, and those are just like some of the funnest college memories. So that was a top moment in our relationship for me. It was just fun.
The last thing I have written down is seeing you do something on your own after I've taught you how to do it.
Aww.
And it's like things where you look at what typical gender roles are, where you teach your son how to do something around the house that's handiwork,
like
but you don't necessarily teach your daughter that. You teach your daughter maybe how to cook a loaf of bread or whatever. These are very
stereotypical gender role.
Stereotypical things. But something that I really, really believe in is teaching Arika how to do everything. Yeah. Everything that I know how to do, I would hope that she knows how to do. For whatever reason, maybe she's got to teach someone and I'm not available to teach them that. I know.
This happened recently.
Yeah. Very recently. You can go ahead and tell that story in a second. But whenever I've taught you something and I don't even have to like say, go do it because you know how to do it. You just have the empowerment to do it already. Yeah. And watching you do it after I've taught you, I'm like, oh, amazing.
Yeah. The first thing I thought of when you said that is just like when we did this house, Angelo and I and maybe some other people laid the floor by ourselves. We didn't hire a single professional to help with this house at all. We've done everything ourselves based on what Angelo's learned on YouTube and common sense. That's how we've done it all. And one of the first things I just thought of was when you laid the floor and you showed me how to use all the little pieces and then you taught me how to do it, and then I laid the next 5 rows of floor. And it was just awesome.
Yeah, like, I got to have a break and sit down.
Yeah, and it is. I'm passionate about that the same exact way, and I think that's so important that we both value that because that's what I want our kids to know how to do. I want our daughter to know how to change her tire on the side of the road. I want our son to know how to do that too. I want them to both know how to do their own laundry and like very simplified things at home. Like I don't care about gender or what any specific role is supposed to be or whatever. Like I just want our kids to be independent people the way that we are. And I think that's really important too. And changing the tire is what I thought of because I had a friend who had a flat tire. And Angelo did end up having to come because it was not physically strong enough to change the tire. It still makes me mad. We'll get there someday. But she was in like a little bit of distress, or she was just like really stressed out about the situation. And I was able to have perspective to know, like, I don't want to say it's not that hard, but like changing a tire is pretty simplified if you understand how to do it. And so I had the perspective to know that. She didn't. She'd never had to do it. So she didn't know that it was not scary. So I was able to like calm her down and be like, hey, we're going to fix it. Like, it's cool. You don't have to be stressed. Like, don't cry. Like, don't freak out. Let's just go finish what we were doing. And then we'll come back and we'll change this tire. Like, we'll just do it. And I felt confident enough that I could have done it had I been strong enough. And I called Angelo on the phone to, like, give me some pointers and tips because I'd never done it alone, like, by myself. But I still had, like you said, the empowerment to be like, I can do this. It's going to be fine. Like, there's no need to freak out.
Or you had just enough knowledge on the subject to not be debilitated by fear. Yeah. Because you
my head was clear about it.
You could logically think through the process because you know it's not scary. You've had a little bit of experience.
Yeah.
So
for sure. Okay, I'm gonna say my last favorite moments since Angelo finished his. Thanksgiving in Washington D.C. recently. Just a fun time, a silly trip. Yeah, like so much went wrong that was so funny. I broke my finger, I broke the Airbnb, put a hole in the ceiling. Like if you didn't listen to the episode, you have to go back and find it from Thanksgiving time.
Oh my gosh.
The episode was probably up in December, but we visited Marissa and Kyle specifically and all of our family went, and it was just a hilarious, fun, awesome trip.
I feel like that covered 2 episodes too, where you talked about it.
It probably did.
And you and Marissa talking about it both was, I remember.
It was chaotic and so funny.
It's pretty funny.
Okay, my last 2 are New York City. Favorite moment together. Just because we've gone a couple times now and it's just like one of my favorite places. There's so much to do, so much to see, and it's just like a happy, like, I just look at like the Statue of Liberty and I just feel something. Like, I don't know how to tell you guys. Like, it sounds so cheesy, but it is what it is.
Mocha from 787.
787 coffee, shout out. Five Eye specifically is the one we've been to.
Yeah.
Multiple times, I think. And then the last favorite moment I wrote is just skiing in general. No specific trip, but just that we can share that because that's like Angelo's favorite thing, one of his favorite hobbies to do. And I was not that good at it when we met, and now I feel like I'm pretty okay. Like, whether or not I'm better, I'm way more confident. And so it's fun that we can share something that you love.
Yes.
So that's my favorite moments together. What do you think?
Yeah.
We gave you guys
we've covered
so
a lot.
much. We gave you guys so much that we're like exhausted of talking at this point. At least I am. My throat kind of hurts.
Mine too.
But thank you, John, for sending all those questions.
Oh, yeah.
Literally not one of them was something that we came up with, which made it really fun because, I don't know, it just gave us more to think about, more perspective on our own relationship. So weird in a good way. Mm-hmm. But thank you, John, for the questions. Shout out Noah because Angelo really wanted to give a shout out to Noah for being a great friend.
Yeah.
And yeah, if anyone out there is listening to this and you're like, this John guy sounds pretty cool and you might want to, like, you know, talk to him, go on a couple dates, I don't know, hit us up. Let us know. We're just going to play matchmaker.
And Noah too. Shout out his cooking that we've been seeing recently.
Okay.
I want to have some of his food.
Okay, if you guys want to date our friends, you just let us know if you want to date our friends. Noah has been. This is a shout out to Noah's Instagram though, because he has been posting on his stories like different recipes he's been trying recently. Like there's been his chili recipe, which I screenshotted every single slide of so that we could write it down. His chili recipe. He's made fajitas. He made like a mushroom Gouda burger. Was it mushroom Gouda or no mushroom Swiss? Some kind of mushroom like cheeseburger. There's been other ones, but like I've seen them all and they all look so fire. So if you like a man in uniform who, you know, is just a man of the people, then maybe John's the guy for you. If you like a man who can cook, play some mean video games, and what else about Noah? He's brunette, by the way. I feel like I have to give them both a profile so people know what they're getting into. But yeah, if you're looking for that kind of guy, then Noah might be for you. So if you just want to date our friends, hit us up. Hopefully Noah won't be mad because John told us to give a shout out. Noah did not. But yeah, it's just...
Well, I wasn't really saying hey, hit him up for dating. I was just like, I just want to give him a shout out for
his cooking
cooking on Insta.
Well, he can cook.
It looks
okay?
cool.
Anyway, that's all for today's episode. We literally have been talking for so long, I'm like tired. But thank you guys for listening. Follow us on Instagram at We Run on Coffee. I'm going to be posting a lot of the pictures we talked about today, like our favorite pictures of each other and our trips. And I'm really excited for you guys to see them because I feel like we have so many good memories captured in photo because I love taking pictures. So that's always really cool to see. And if you would like to email us, have a business inquiry, you want to ask for advice, write us a whole paragraph, whatever, you can email us at werunoncoffeepodcast@gmail.com. And I think that wraps it up. Anything else that you want to get into before we're done?
No.
Thank you guys so much for listening for an hour and 40 minutes. I hope you enjoyed this extra long episode. We haven't done this in a long time, so it's kind of like a little treat for those who like long episodes. And swipe up on Spotify and answer the question for today. I don't have one in my brain. Do you have anything? Like a poll or an open-ended question?
In a couple words, what's your number one passion?
Ooh, love it. So yeah, tell us your number one passion, or it could be like your overarching goal, purpose in life, whatever, that kind of thing. We're passionate about people being passionate, which sounds really funny, but I think that's something Angela and I both feel is like people having passions is important and vital and awesome and amazing. And I love to hear what other people are passionate about. So that's a really good question. So swipe up on Spotify to answer that. And I think that's it. We're going to wrap this up. So with that, I'm Arika.
And I'm Angelo.
And we run on coffee. Bye. That was funny.
I've heard it so many times.